Have you ever wanted to know how to make homemade soap? Well, today's your lucky day because I will be discussing how to make homemade soap. With this pandemic that's going on, it's important to wash your hands now more than ever. So why not wash your hands with soap that you've made? I will be showing you how to make homemade soap based on the vigorous research that I've done. In showing my audience how to make homemade soap, I will discuss the materials needed, the cold and hot process, and molding. First, I will discuss the materials needed to make soap. According to the book titled Soap Making Made Easy by Gaboya, published in 2013, the following items are needed. You'll need saturated fat and unsaturated fat, lye, water, fragrance oils, colorants, a steel pot, silicone molds, bowl, goggles, gloves, and a mask. All these items can be found at your local Walmart. Michaels also has a variety of silicone molds you can choose from. According to Gaboya's 2013 book titled Soap Making Made Easy, you can use natural ingredients to color your soap. Cocoa powder or tea can make your soap turn a deep, rich brown. Cocoa powder will of course make your soap smell like chocolate. Paprika will give your soap a deep reddish color. Now that I've discussed the materials that are needed for making soap, I will discuss the cold and hot process and finally the molding. Second, you need to heat and mix the ingredients by using the cold or hot process. I will be discussing both processes and you can choose which you prefer doing. First, for the cold process, you will first heat both saturated and unsaturated fats in a steel pot. Before working with the lye, make sure to wear your goggles, gloves, and mask, and that you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, pants down to your ankles, and closed-toed shoes. The gloves, mask, and goggles are only needed for when you are using fresh lye. You do not need to wear these for the entire mixing process. In a bowl with water, add the lye, pour it in, and set aside to cool for an hour. According to Prieto Vidal's web article titled The Effects of Cold Sponification on the Unsponified Fatty Acid Composition and Sensory Perception of Commercial Natural Herbal Soaps, published in 2018, the cold process goes as follows. The cooled lye and water was added to the melted oils and butter, and the subsequent mixture is blended until thickened, about the consistency of thick cream, but before trace, the point where sponification is almost complete was reached, before the consistency of pudding is reached. The mixture is used to fill up the molds, and the soap is left to complete sponification at room temperature for 24 hours. The hot process is another process used for making soap. This is just a matter of heating the mixture longer. According to an article by Kelly titled Soap Making Process and Product, published November 3rd, 1964, the hot process goes as follows. Includes crushing the initial fats and oils, then adding lye, and stirring until the soap has reached a desired consistency. Then you will pour the mixture into the mold and set aside to be cooled. Now that I discussed the materials that are needed for making soap and both the cold and hot process, I will now discuss the molding. Finally, let's talk about the molding. Once you have poured the mixture into the molds, you will spray rubbing alcohol on the mixture and leave the soaps aside to be cooled. According to Wanda's 2014 web article titled Sunday Night Spotlight 99% Isopropyl Alcohol, rubbing alcohol does the following. Spraying isopropyl alcohol will spraying isopropyl alcohol immediately after pouring will break up air bubbles and create a smooth surface. In the web article titled Soap Making Improvement, including social, cultural, and resource constraints in the engineering design process by Burleson 2017, after the 24 hours are up for the cooling process, you will do the following. You will place the pieces on a curing rack in a well-ventilated area where the sponification will occur. The soaps will be cured for an additional 6 to 8 weeks. After this time, the soaps will be fully dried and ready to be used. According to Burleson's 2017 article titled Soap Making Process Improvement, including social, cultural, resource constraints in the engineering design process. When the mixture is poured into the mold for the hot process, you will do the following. Once the soap is cooled, it is cut into its desired shape, and the soap is ready for use. In conclusion, in showing my audience how to make homemade soap, I discussed the materials needed, the cold and hot process, and the molding. I hope you found my speech useful and will make soaps of your own, whether you're using the cold or the hot process to make your soaps. Plus, you can personalize them by adding your own fragrances, oils, and other ingredients. Thank you for listening to my speech.